Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today, I am finally getting around to filming this video, but I will be doing a full review of Riley Sager's latest novel, The Only One Left. This book just came out, I believe, back in June, like June 20th or something like that. I adore Riley Sager's writing. I always have to pick up his novels. I've read all of his latest releases since Home Before Dark came out. I started off by reading The Last Time I Lied. There's only 2 books by Riley Sager that I haven't read. Final Girls, which was his big breakout novel, and then Lock Every Door. And I cannot wait to finally get my hands on those. I actually own Final Girls, and I will be reading that hopefully very, very soon. But yes, Riley Sager is one of those authors that I instantly buy. I have really enjoyed all of his books. And The House on the Lake? What was the name of that book? The Last House on the Lake? The House Across the Lake. There we go. The House Across the Lake was the book that he released last year, and then Survive the Night the year before that. Those were 2 books that I did thoroughly enjoy, but I wasn't as impressed with as I was with Home Before Dark and The Last Time I Lied. But I'm happy to say that this book I just devoured. I couldn't put this book down. I needed to know what happened. I needed to know what the twist was. I needed to know every single thing about all of our characters. Before I get into this though, what I found most interesting about this book is I feel like every time you read a Riley Sager novel, you can kind of see where the inspiration is from, right? Home Before Dark is like a very classic kind of like haunted house sort of style. The House Across the Lake, very like stuck in a like, I don't want to say cabin in the woods, but more like the neighbor next door kind of storyline. Survive the Night is all about serial killers. This one was a really interesting story, very, very clearly and openly inspired by the Lizzie Borden case. If you've been on my channel long enough to know, if you've been on my channel long enough, you know that I am very fascinated by the Lizzie Borden case. I have read about the Lizzie Borden case, visited the Lizzie Borden house, have my own theories about what happened that night, and after reading Riley Sager's novel, I have a feeling he might agree with me. I've always thought that Lizzie Borden wasn't the actual murderer. That's not true. The more I read into the case, and I did have a like 2-hour private tour of the house, once I learned a lot of the intricacies of the case and a lot of the details, it felt more to me like she may have been involved. I really don't know, but I don't actually think she committed the murders. I think it could have been a conspiracy that she was involved in, but I do think that her uncle and potentially her sister were involved. And while that is not like the big reveal for Riley Sager's book, the way he writes about our Lizzie Borden character and the twists and turns in this novel do make me think that maybe he also thinks Lizzie Borden didn't commit the crime, but I don't know, because maybe he was writing a book on if like Lizzie Borden didn't commit the crime or did commit the crime in this way and that way, and it's really interesting. Anyway, it's all really, really interesting. So let me read the inside flap for y'all. At 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope. Now reduced to a schoolyard chant, the Hope family murder shocked the Maine coast one bloody night in 1929. While most people assume 17-year-old Lenora was responsible, the police were never able to prove it. Other than her denial after the killing, she has never spoken publicly about that night, nor has she set foot outside Hope's End, the cliffside mansion where the massacre occurred. Stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. And now, it's now 1983, and home health aide Kit McDeer arrives at decaying Hope's End to care for Lenora after her previous nurse fled in the middle of the night. In her 70s and confined to a wheelchair, Lenora was rendered mute by a series of strokes and can only communicate with Kit by tapping out sentences on an old typewriter. One night, Lenora uses it to make a tantalizing offer. "I want to tell you everything." "It wasn't me," Lenora said, "but she's the only one not dead." As Kit helps Lenora write about the events leading to the Hope family massacre, it becomes clear there's more to the tale than people know. But when new details about her predecessor's departure come to light, Kit starts to suspect Lenora might not be telling the complete truth, and that the seemingly harmless woman in her care could be far more dangerous than she first thought. I devoured this book. I really, really liked our main character, Kit. I thought she was a fantastic, flawed, guilt-driven character. And I thought the way that Riley Sager unraveled this character to the reader to really allow us to see who this person was brilliant. He gave us just enough information as the story went on to kind of come to the terms and realizations that Kit is coming to herself. I thought it was fantastic. I really, really loved the setting. The setting of this house is just so creepy. This like old, dilapidated, crumbling, giant mansion on a cliffside. It gave me Lemony Snicket, The Wide Window vibes. Just like the way the house was like teetering on top of the cliff over the ocean. I loved the setting. It was so beautiful. I loved the description of being in the house and how the house is being affected by the like corroding of the cliffside. Just absolutely fantastic. The twists in this novel were great. And Riley Sager, I know so many people don't like Riley Sager because a lot of what he does is like lead you to think one thing is happening and then like out of nowhere blindside you with like this crazy twist, you know. And I know for a while he was doing this, something supernatural is happening, surprise, it wasn't supernatural at all. And then he came out with a novel that was like, nothing supernatural is happening, but surprise, it was supernatural. You know, I know that he kind of likes to like lead his readers in all these different directions and then make sure that they don't know what's happening. And out of all of his books, I've only ever been able to figure out the twist once, and that was in Survive the Night. And I'm fairly certain it was just because I have just listened to so much true crime that I was like, oh, I think I know what case this is based on, and like, boom, figured it out. But this one, I was both annoyed and like kind of overjoyed that I figured out what I thought the twist was, and I was correct in assuming that this twist was happening, and it did. And then I was like annoyed because I was like, oh man, I figured out the Riley Sager twist, like that's not supposed to happen. And then all of a sudden there was like 3 other twists and that I did not see coming at all, and I was like, oh my god. And one, when I first read it, I was like, no way, absolutely not, there's no possible way that is the twist, like it just came so out of nowhere. And then after I finished the book and I like really digested it, I was like, oh, that was like very apparent and like hinted at the entire time. So Riley Sager definitely got me on that one. And the twist was interesting. The ending of the novel was really fast paced, and I will say it's like very campy and cheesy and kind of cozy at the end. Like it has a very Darcy Coates ending after like a lot of really depraved and morbid things happen. So there is like a very like cute ending, like wrapped up with a nice neat little bow. But other than that, I was just fully engrossed in this whole novel. And it almost read like a game of Clue. Like all of these characters, or you know, not even Clue. It read very much akin to Mike Flanagan's The Haunting of Bly Manor. So not necessarily the turn of the screw, but the way that Flanagan did Bly Manor, where you have all of these cast of characters who are loyal to this house and this matron of the house for some reason, but you don't know why. And as the story unravels, you learn all of like their backgrounds and histories with everybody. It felt very akin to Bly Manor with a much faster pace, but the kind of unraveling of like the chef and the maid and the groundskeeper, as well as like the what did she call herself, the governess. You know, there were a lot of mischievous characters, and Riley Sager did something that was really interesting, where he kind of led us to believe something was happening that he's done in a previous novel. If you read Home Before Dark and you read this, you might be able to figure out what I'm talking about, but he leads you to believe something about a character the way he does in another novel, and then pulls the rug out from under you, and what he's doing is completely different. And at first I was like, I hope to God he is not repeating a trick that he used in Home Before Dark, and he didn't. he didn't. But he did use the fact that his readers have read some of his tricks before to mislead them. And I thought that was really interesting. It very much elevated the experience, but if you haven't read Home Before Dark, it would also lead you to an incorrect conclusion. And I really love how Riley Sager does that. And I know so many people don't like it, but I love being tricked. I love knowing when I read a Riley Sager book, whatever I think the conclusion is probably completely wrong. And then trying to figure out exactly how the conclusion and the reveal actually works. I think the most effective book that's ever happened in was The Last Time I Lied, and that book really took me off guard. The first time you read a Riley Sager novel, it's just an absolute journey, because I feel like so many people don't know that he's known for these like just crazy over-the-top twists. But if you do know going into it, I think the more you read from him, the more fun you have with it. These are fun books. They're not really scary. They're like playing a game of Clue, but reading a novel, and I absolutely loved it. So this was 5 stars for me. I will say the twist of The Last Time I Lied still is held in my heart as like the best thing I've ever read from Riley Sager. But I was so pleased with this, and I did like it way more than Survive the Night and way more than than The House Across the Lake. And again, I enjoyed both of those, but this one just blew them out of the water. This one was so fun, and I just loved the double mystery of the original murders with Lenora Hope compared to what's actually going on right now. And there's so much fun, over-the-top, whimsical mystery in this, and not a huge cast of characters, which really helps this novel. There's a very limited amount of characters. For the most part, it's all focused on, I believe, the five characters who live in the house. There are a couple other people who come and go and interact with everyone, but our main story focuses on the 5 characters in the house, and it does a really, really, really good job of making you fully unsure of what's happening and who our bad guys are. And I adored it. I thought it was so much fun. So if you are interested in Riley Sager, definitely check this out. Would definitely put it on the list of books you should read from him. That's up there with Home Before Dark and of course The Last Time I Lied. But just be prepared. This is a fun kind of campy beach read. There's nothing crazy, like there's not a lot of literary, I don't want to say merit because I think it's worth reading, but this isn't going to be a groundbreaking, life-changing novel, but it's going to be a fun book. And right now it's summer, I love reading fun books. And this was fantastic. Definitely more of a thriller than a horror, but if you are into the Lizzie Borden case, you're really going to appreciate a lot of the things in this. So 5 stars, so pleased with this. So pleased with it. And look at the cover. I love the cover. Like, oh god, the house is just so beautiful. The way they describe it is just absolutely stunning. Anyway, that is all that I have for you guys today. As always, I post every Monday and Thursday, sometimes on Saturdays. And if you enjoyed these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and I will catch you all in the next one. Mwah.